Hello, everybody. I'm super excited that all of you are here. Today, we're going to be hearing from Don, Jay, and Cristina about their software engineering journey. Feel free to ask questions throughout, but we will be answering all questions at the end. Just to let you know, we are also streaming on Twitch, and I will also be monitoring the chat there for any questions that have come up. Lastly, afterwards, you'll be able to find a recording of this talk on YouTube in case you want to rewatch any part of it. Thank you.
Well, hello, wherever you are in the world. We are co-founder with my wife, Kathleen, of a faith-based business, NG911 Services.
I'm Cristina, Cristina Nistor. I am currently the Director of Operations at a software testing company called Tesco.
Okay, and I'm sorry, Cristina. I wasn't sure if we were all live. That's my my fault there. But thank you for stepping in there and helping me. That is your job as a testing company to help us out. You did a great job there. Yeah. So anyway, you know, as much as I'm in technology and have been for years, some of it's a little bit new for me. So I'll continue. Sorry. Yeah. So as I was saying, we're an international company, really based in the U.S. My wife and I founded this company a year ago, and we had a CEO and investor join us in January to help fund the vision and help us out. I didn't think I'd be founding a company at my age, but it's just worked out that way. We have a great team. As introduction, we've built together a secure cloud-based product that runs in Amazon's web services, the cloud base there. And it's to fulfill our vision to give a person that second chance at life by getting their call for help to the right emergency services person. I've worked in 911 software development and standards since 1997, and have been blessed to have 34 awarded patents and seen many changes in emergency services. A lot, just have been a great ride all those years. As more introduction, I've been fortunate to have jobs since I was 14. And quick fun facts from those 45 working years: my lowest paid job was 25 cents an hour as an apprentice carrying roofing shingles. A great recent moment was seeing one of my sons prove himself by himself and succeed in his own merit at one of my former companies. And what I enjoy and get to do in this company is seeing the faces of the team members when they accomplish something that they thought was really impossible just a few months ago. And that's a lot of the journey that I'll talk about today for me in software engineering, software development, product management, is that joy and challenge when someone says, it's impossible. It's like a clarion call to me of, okay, challenge accepted. So we have fun with that with this team. Some quick valuable advice I received over the years. I haven't followed all of it all the time. First one, really early in my career, was, Don, you are good at getting things done, but you leave terrible wreckage in your path. And what my boss was trying to get across is that tasks are short term. People and relationships are much more important and longer term. So it was great. One that I didn't listen to at the time, but I have since, is don't send that email. And when you get into a company, you'll probably experience those moments where you just need to type the email. Don't put anyone on the send list, just type it out, get your frustrations out, but don't send it. And then lastly, really my wife helped me with this, is teach other people how to treat you. Don't let them walk on you. Set clear boundaries, help them learn how to communicate best with you. And also, don't let them judge you for where they think you should be 5 years from now. You are where you are. You're great where you are. You're doing the best that you can do. What are my first experiences? Well, 45 years of working. But in software development, my first opportunity was I got to take care of 7 modem-connected IBM PC XTs. You'll have to look that up on Wikipedia, I think. And that was because no one else really wanted to. These had 10 megabyte hard drives, just to give you an idea of how old these things were. But it was great. It was a great introduction to having to learn business. This was a PC-based system for residential home lending for the state of Washington. So I had 6 branch offices across the state, and I got to learn enough to write software to fill out pre-printed forms with a dot matrix printer, which I was excited about at the time because I had micro spacing controls. Probably not exciting to some of you, but it was cool for me. But I found that I really enjoyed learning about what they did. What were they doing in their jobs to really understand why they were asking for what they asked for? Really take time and learn how to draw out and understand their process, right? And so ultimately, I really realized I didn't like writing code. It was, I could do it. It was okay once in a while, but it wasn't really what I liked. I really like working with people and helping them get jobs done that they wanted to get done. And I learned that change is hard, even for me. It's still hard for me. Like fax machines were tough for me to get used to. Okay, and that sometimes, though I'm helping with companies with automation, which you will get a chance to do if you pursue this, is that sometimes that change that the company is asking you to do is hard on the people being helped. And so listening is really good. Learning to have some empathy skills was really helpful for me. So what am I doing now? Wow, I'm getting to work with this amazing team represented by Jay from Zudi, which is a no-code developer, and Cristina from Testco, what I really have wanted in a testing company, and really enjoy working with both of these, and we have many others as well. But in this, I have like 2 roles. I'm the chief technical officer, but that's kind of the management of budget, management of the overall. On the day-to-day, I have a role as product manager, and I don't look at myself as the boss of this team, like directing everybody to do stuff. I am a team member along with these other team leaders, like Jay. Cristina has somebody that I work with called, his name is Carlos. And those people are leaders of their groups. And I like that structure. And really, I learned that structure when I was playing World of Warcraft about 10 years ago. I wasn't very good, as you can imagine, but I did okay. But what amazed me was watching my sons play, who were a bit younger. They were teenagers then, younger teenagers, and they were managing 40-person raids of dungeons and coordinating all the people into smaller groups to get the task done. And they were not directive style managers. They were ruthless sometimes. If people were not pulling their weight, they were gone. And I learned that, wow, I've been pretty soft, because they did it for the benefit of the team to accomplish the task. So, in the fancy literature, they call that self-organizing teams. So I like that concept. There's lots of stuff written about it. I think it really is the future. And what we're doing at NG 911 Services is pretty close to what I've wanted to achieve there. We have pretty much self-organizing teams. I have leaders like Cristina and Carlos and Jay, and individually they play a leadership role within their little functional group within our overall system, that accomplishes micro tasks for the overall goal. So it's great. I love it. That's what I have wanting to achieve. Tactically, we have sprint reviews on a weekly basis. We do not do daily scrums, because those individual separate teams, I think, do their own team management, and that works out really good. So I'm hoping this is helpful. In the future, I want to continue and extend and explore more directly this self-managing teams concept, not from a theory perspective, because who cares, but on a practical, how is it really impacting the team? Is the communication working well? So Tesco constantly checks with me. How are we meeting your expectations? I'm constantly checking with everybody. Am I communicating well? Do you understand what I'm saying? And we're constantly getting feedback on how to make things better in a way so that everyone better understands what they're doing. And my job is really to describe why we're building what we're building, what's the priority of work items, and try to help members of the team understand their contribution, because I believe generally people want to contribute. They want to know they're doing a good job. And so I want people to, the 5 working days a week, I want them to feel successful 3 or more of those days, just all the time. Life is life is life. You aren't going to feel successful every day, but I want it to be at least 3 or more. What else was my notes? Oh yeah, and so what is driving me to do a lot of what we're doing today, because it is hard and difficult and painful at times, it is not easy, is that I love innovation. And innovation absolutely requires making mistakes. You cannot have innovation without making mistakes, and mistakes are not failures. I have said for a long time that failure in my mind is not trying. So because mistakes are necessary for learning, I want to do a better job within my team of allowing them room so they don't feel so much pressure on the budget and getting things done in the shortest time possible. And I haven't accomplished that yet, but I constantly am working on it. And a note about learning and mistakes is, think back, if you can, to when you were a toddler. Yeah, you didn't stand up and just walk. You tried, you fell, you hurt yourself, you cried, you did whatever, people helped you. But eventually, it's an example. You were able to walk. And so that is the way it is with software development. You are mostly doing stuff that hasn't been done before, because that's why it's valuable. So it's okay. Take a chance. That is how you grow. Really, if you're not taking chances, you're not growing. And we believe in giving people room to grow. So I hope this has been of value. I look forward to answering your questions toward the end. And so I'll turn it over to you, Cristina.
Thank you, Don. Thank you. Interesting, interesting approach to doing business, to seeing, to seeing the people in the team and how the people are the one that create the innovation, the product that make things happen, and how important it is to have that great team. Thank you. Well, I'm Cristina Nistor. I was born in Romania. I studied computer science, and I started my adventure in IT in Mexico 17 years ago. Why Mexico, you may ask? I always loved to travel, but as a young graduate, I was broke. So when I got this internship to this Mexican company, my dream came true. I could travel to the other side of the world and at the same time finance my adventure. I became a digital nomad. I got to do skydiving in Isengard in New Zealand, where Lord of the Rings was shot. I got to climb a volcano. I got to charge myself with energy on the Pyramid of Sun. I got to hug an elephant, and I got to circle the world in 90 days. And all these times, I've been working on developing my professional career. And now I'm the director of operations at Tesco, a company that does software testing. And in this role, I had the opportunity to implement home office, a home office environment where everyone in the team could live the life they love, either spend more time with their families or travel around the world. This is my case. My first days in QA, well, I didn't start my career in QA in software development. Actually, I started in IT technical support. I was assigned to a customer that had a lot of complaints about the service, our company. And I was tasked to solve the problem and make the customer happy. Well, it was a big responsibility. We could have lost the client. I could have lost my job. The whole team could have lost their job. Oh, I was so scared. On the other hand, the trust placed by the team in me filled me with energy and excitement. I felt like the world was mine. Also, I felt that I had to do everything in my power not to disappoint the people that place their trust in me. We turned things around, and because of the success we had with the quality model I created for that client, I was entrusted to implement that model in the rest of the company. Later in my career, I joined Tesco. And it's here at Tesco is where I started in quality assurance in software development. It fascinated me because every project, it's a new toy. And I get paid to break it, play with it. How cool is that? Here's where things got interesting for me. Besides testing cutting edge technologies, I am part of an amazing team that also created new approaches to software testing. I'm very proud to be working with this team that I'm working now. But to be honest, there were several things that I learned the hard way. Actually, I made a lot of mistakes. I will not talk about all of them, but just 4 of them that I think are relevant for you. At the beginning of my career, when I was tasked to create the IQ model and save the client, I did not look for advice from people that have done that before and knew what worked, what did not work. I tried everything by myself, and I got a lot of things wrong. Rookie mistakes that could have been avoided if I would have just, talked to somebody with experience. I worked hard when I could have worked smarter. When you start, you might think that you have all the answers, but you don't have the experience. So take advantage of the people that have that experience and make your life easier. Another lesson I learned the hard way was about leadership. Back then, I did not really understand what leadership meant. I was mistaken for telling people what to do. And you can imagine the reaction I got in response, especially from my older colleagues. They resented me. And as quality assurance people, we are ambassadors to our clients, for our clients' needs and our users. We are their voice. And we have a responsibility to drive quality throughout our organization and help them. Only later in life, I realized that driving quality cannot be done without leadership, because it means to inspire people to be their best version of themselves, to inspire them to add value in everything they do, to do the things right and do the right things. The next in my adventure while implementing the quality process throughout the company, I was challenged with different kind of problems, but to my surprise, the biggest problem was not of a technical nature. It was actually dealing with people, aligning them to the same goal, dealing with the personal interests, dealing with the inertia of the status quo. It was then when I learned to negotiate and search for ways that people would get what they personally look for, while I get what I was looking for. Things don't just happen. You have to cause them to happen. And people have their own interests. They have their own jobs, responsibilities. And to get them on board with your goal, you have to make sure they all also achieve their goals and to take care of their interests. So yeah, I had to learn to negotiate. The last lesson learned that I'm going to talk about is collaboration. I worked in creating great products, and I also had my fair share of products that were not so great. And I got to realize that great products were always the result of a great team. A team where you could feel the great collaboration floating in the air. Product managers, software developers, test engineers, they all worked as one. There was this deep respect for each other, respect for the ideas of others. There was a high degree of accountability and ownership. We were unstoppable. And that energy is amazing. And to this day, I'm proud of the products we created. I'm still in touch with those teams. It was just amazing, an awesome relationship. Now, finally here at Tesco is where I realized that as QA people, we don't do just testing, but we help companies not to lose customers and die because of that. We prevent failure. At a personal level, we help our clients to achieve their goals and be successful with their jobs. Once I understood this, it gave a whole new meaning to my job as a care professional, and it increased my level of satisfaction with my job and my life. The best thing that has happened here at Tesco for me is that I got to be part of something bigger than myself, especially in these challenging times. I have the opportunity to be working for a client that helps researchers fight the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm also working with an e-commerce client, helping numerous people to have their essential supplies available in their store. I have the opportunity to work with Don at NG 911 that gives a person the second chance at life by getting their call for help to the right emergency service person. and this is amazing. Numerous people are being touched by my work, and all I have to do is do very, very well my job. And this is the grain of sand I'm putting in this world. This fills my heart. I feel that I'm a fulfilled person and professional. And the future, the technology has always been evolving fast. Every 3 years, we got to learn something new. These are exceptional times, and it are a significant turning point in our lives. The impact of COVID is yet to be fully understood. One thing we know for sure is business will not be the same. However, the technology is a catalyst. And as technologists, we are part of this transformation. The question now is, how are we going to change? How are we going to go through this? And in these challenging times, where the focus for us at Tesco is to build a strong foundation for what's to come. And we created a new program. We called it the Innovation Labs, which is a laboratory where we can experiment with new technologies, new techniques, new concepts in QA. And I love it. We are reinventing ourselves. And the focus is the future. At a personal level, I got involved in mentoring test engineers and coaching QA managers. I'm helping them to reach their career goals and reach their leadership potential. Helping people like you, young people like you, to be the leaders of tomorrow. And that is, in my career, I think it's the most impact it's the biggest impact that I can have in me and in my colleagues. And personally, my next adventure, well, I want to go on a safari and I want to go to visit Tierra del Fuego. And yeah, that's who I am and that's what I'm going for. Thank you. Jay, would you please go ahead?
Sure, thank you very much. To reintroduce myself, since it's been a few minutes and I think a few more people have joined the meeting, my name is Jay Hornback. I am a solution architect for Zudi, which is a no-code development platform. And a lot of people have to think twice when you say no-code development platform. So I will get to that in a few minutes as a little teaser. But first, let me introduce you about my background. So I'm originally from Kentucky. I got a computer science degree from the University of Kentucky with a double minor in mathematics and business. My interest in math and business came through classes that I took in school, and I pursued those enough to get the minors. My background in computer science goes back to elementary school. My mother was a computer lab teacher at my school, and I was just always around computers. And in those days, it was the Apple IIe computer. So you can Google what an Apple IIe looks like and be amazed, much like when Don talked about the old computers that he worked on. So I was always around computers and had an interest in math and science and engineering. So I got a computer science degree. I ended up doing internships while I was in school, and I definitely recommend that any of you that are thinking of pursuing a technical degree or are in the middle of pursuing a technical degree to do those kinds of internships, because you will learn what you like and maybe more importantly what you don't like. So I was doing an internship doing programming, strict sitting in front of a computer terminal and coding. And I realized that I did not enjoy that as much as I thought I would, even though I really liked my classes. So I panicked a bit, and that's one of the reasons that I started taking business classes, because business to me was an interesting pivot. Having a degree in computer science and a degree in a minor in business, I thought would help make me a more well-rounded candidate. So as you're going through school, that's something to think about when you pick your classes, is not just focusing on one thing, but maybe having a Swiss Army knife of sorts of skills that you can provide to a potential employer. So when I graduated, I still pursued my computer science degree, but I knew that I did not want to be a coder. So that helped me, that experience as an intern coding helped me focus my degree and my path on what I did not want to do and pursue other avenues. So when I finished school, I was definitely still interested in business and a higher level of education, but I went to work for CNN.com, which is the news organization, and I was a webmaster. So I had a really interesting first job out of college, working a little bit with HTML and a lot of software programs that the company used to put news on their website. So I helped manage the news cycle and put stories with pictures and videos and headlines and organizing things on the web page and figuring out what people were clicking on. So it was a very interesting first job for me. But I knew I wanted to go back to school. And after about a year and a half, I applied and went to Georgia Tech for graduate school with an MBA and a focus in IT. And I wanted to do that because I wanted to get a leg up on other people that were my age. And I was interested in the management of technology, and that would allow me to stay involved with it, but not having to be deep in the weeds of programming. And I'll get back into the management of technology versus the deep in the weeds when I talk about my current company as well. After graduate school, I spent almost 10 years as an IT consultant, and I worked on large software implementation projects. If you've heard of SAP, that was one of the major software systems that we helped implement, and my company would be the data migration partner. So when a large company like Exxon or Boeing or Johnson & Johnson bought SAP and implemented it, we helped them migrate the data from all their old systems into SAP. So there's a lot of technical involvement with translating data from old systems into new systems. So I helped do that, and I was involved with the technology. I had to do a lot of database work in SQL, if you're familiar with that. And you also had to be able to communicate with people because you had to talk to them about their data, about their systems, and learn their business processes and what the new business processes would be. So it was a great merger between my skill sets that I had acquired in the management of technology and the technical side. So like I said, I did that for about 10 years, and then I transitioned with a group of employees that had become coworkers that had become my friends as well. We all left the company within 6 months of each other to help the founder of a new company called Zudi. So Zudi is a no-code development platform. It's built in C#, if you're taking any classes on C#. But we actually build software applications for clients like Don to build software without having to write a single line of code. It might sound a little foreign to some of you if you're in a technical degree, but I think you'll see a lot of it in the future where business people are given the tools like Zudi's tools to develop software without having to be a technical person. So you might be a business person that is interested in building software, and we are giving you the tools to do that. Similarly, there are web building tools out there for building a website. So Wix.com is one that comes to mind, where they advertise you can build a website without having to be a coder. So we kind of take a similar broad concept like that to the business application world. So our platform is something that we could train you or anyone to use to build applications. Now, I'm one of the solution architects, so I help customers figure out the business needs, build the features, define the features, and then manage the project, as well as build the solutions myself. So I'm in there building solutions with our software. But my bigger goal, and our bigger goal as a company, is to be more enablers of the software for clients and for general users. So you can download a free trial of our software and try it out for yourself. You could become a developer, you could be in sales. Like, there's a lot of different things you could do with our company involved with the technology, but not actually digging into the code. We also have coders that build our platform, but I'm not one of those. So that's kind of talking about my background, what I'm doing now, and then in the future, we're going to continue to build our company. We started with about 15 employees, and we're in the 70 to 80 range right now. I've helped build out our team in a few of our hubs. So my home school in Kentucky, I actually live in California now, but I've helped recruit a lot of students like maybe some of you that are still in school to be interns, and we've hired about a dozen of them to be employees, training them up through our internship program, and then hiring them full-time when they graduate. And I've really enjoyed that. I also work with the university to do resume review and mock interviews with students to help polish them. And these are for people that we may want to hire, as well as other disciplines, mainly from the engineering college. So I work with a lot of them to help improve their interview skills. And those are things that I would definitely utilize at your schools. And if you're in high school, your guidance counselor, or in college at your career office, is doing those mock interviews, doing resume review, practicing those skills, because they definitely come through with students that I meet, the ones that have done the work, done the research on the company they're interviewing for, and have put in the time to be more impressive to potential employers. So that's one bit of advice I would give to all of you. Another one would be, if you're pursuing a technical degree, would be to never stop learning. Because when I look back to my degree, which was about 16 years ago is when I finished my undergraduate work, a lot of the technology that I was studying back then is obsolete. So if you're relying on your degree to get you through the rest of your life, you're going to be undermined by new people coming in with better skills. So when I was in school, we were learning SQL, which is still around, C++, which is still around, some Java, JavaScript, HTML, but there was no such thing as a phone app. Cloud architecture was probably around, and the Amazon Web Services that we use every day with Don and his project. The concept was probably around for cloud services, but I don't remember ever learning about it. And the technology wasn't there yet for Wi-Fi and high-speed internet everywhere. A lot of people were still using dial-up, and only universities had T1 lines. You had to be plugged in. Nobody had laptops back then. So a lot of the things that we use today, you're learning on, just remember, who knows where we'll be in 10 years and 15 years. So after you finish your degree, don't take that as a point where you can relax and say, I never need to learn anything again. If you're in the technology industry, you're always going to need to be learning new skills. You're always going to find new emerging technologies that are going to be valuable in the future. So to keep yourself competitive with everyone else, you definitely want to keep learning as you go. And as I mentioned before, being well-rounded and being open-minded to things that you may not realize that you will want to do in the future. So when I started my degree, I was computer science and I was coding. And like I said, when I did my internship and I realized, I don't actually like doing this and I can't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. So by having other interests and pursuing other classes and being open-minded and seeing where opportunities take you, that's going to help you down the road as well. Unless you're just dead set on doing one thing and putting all your eggs in that basket, which isn't a bad thing either. But if you know what you want to do, then go for it 100%. But that's really my bits of advice there. So I think that's all I had, Don and Cristina. I don't know if anybody else had any other comments before we open it up to questions.
Yeah, no, I think we're ready for questions.
Awesome. Well, if everyone who has questions can type their questions up in the Q&A box, or also if you're watching from our Twitch channel, you can just put them in the chat there. So I'll give all right. Looks like we have our first question. All right, this is from Jojo. You all seem relatively grounded individuals. What's your advice for dealing with difficult people?
I'll go ahead and take that first, because I've been a difficult person, and I've had to deal with difficult people. I think it's always good to start with empathy and to take a breath. You know, we all deal with different things in our lives that make us who we are at times. And so, you know, approaching it with empathy and not judging the person has helped me in the past. I've certainly done it the wrong way, but when it's worked better, it's been more about, hey, can we talk privately? I'm not sure why this is happening, but these things are affecting the team negatively. I don't think that that's what you want. What can I do to help? So that would be, when I've done it more properly, that has helped better. Jay or Cristina?
It's a very good question. And in addition to what Don said about empathy and putting yourself at service to the other person to help him overcome the situation, what I found to help is to use a little bit of a piece of advice from a psychology concept, transactional analysis, where they teach us that people, we are usually in three states of being: parent, child, and adult. And this happen all the time, doesn't matter the age. we swing between these states of being. And a parent gives approval or correction to achieve the goal. A child seeks approval or correction to achieve the goal. Or the adult that does not need approval or correction to achieve the goal. And what happens is that in conversations, often, you know, because of problems that we have or triggers, you know, somebody says something and just get triggered, and you get into one of these states. Either you get to be the parent and you start being the one that tells people what to do and looks like scolding, or you get to be the child where you seek for that approval from the parent, and sometimes it looks like whining, or the adult to adult conversations, and that's where the things can happen. And the example that Don gave, it's a way of bringing people to an adult conversation, recognizing that they might go through a situation, that person situation or something, and bring them to, hey, let's solve this together, into an adult to adult conversation. And that's what it for me, it resulted also successful when dealing with situations that are difficult to the person. It's a difficult person, or the situation it's a difficult one.
Yeah, the only thing I would add to that is I've had experience in the past where the difficult situation came about with a coworker or colleague. So we were on the same level on a team. And sometimes the best scenario or the best method in that case would be to escalate it to the team leader or your manager, member of authority. But if it's in a case where you are the manager or you're the person that has to handle it, understanding the person's intentions, listening, and being calm, I think are the best methods, and just having a mutual respect. But overall communication is really what it comes down to, and making sure that everyone has a chance to have a voice. I hope that answered that question. I do see another question here, Cora. So do you mind if I go ahead and read it and start on that one?
Of course, go right ahead.
So the next question from an anonymous attendee was, how do you find internships? And that's a great question. So I'm not sure what level of education or where you are in your life, but if you're in high school, it really comes down to asking your guidance counselor, putting in the work, going around town. Maybe if your friend's dad works somewhere, ask them about any jobs that are available. It might be on a volunteer basis. I know that when I was at my university, I went to my computer science department and just said, how can I help? They put me to work making Cat5 cables. So I was unrolling a big roll of cables and putting the ends on them so that they plug them from one computer into the network. And from that, I was at least exposed. It didn't give me a lot of technical knowledge, but I was exposed to people, and I could have conversations, and they could show me things that they were working on in the research department. If you're at university, definitely leverage your career services department. If you see career fairs or internship fairs, bring your resume, dress up, practice your 30-second elevator pitch about yourself, and go to those career fairs with an interest and do some research on some of the companies that are going to be there, so you know who to target, because sometimes career fairs can be overwhelming. So that would be my advice on finding internships, but maybe Dawn or Cristina has advice there too.
In addition to what Jay said, if you are looking for an internship abroad, there are student associations that have such opportunities. So I would encourage you to look for those students associations that can help with that, or look for companies that are international companies and have internship programs.
Great. And I would add, for your first gig, much like what Jay was saying, my journey into software development and computers and engineering started by typing addresses on envelopes for 8 hours a day for I think 4 months. That was my job. I got hired as a temp at a bank to address envelopes for thousands of people back when you typed. And then that opened up a door. So don't despise small beginnings is a good quote from somebody, not me. And just don't know, if it's the right company. Sometimes starting not maybe in the center of what you want, it's just a great experience to help. Like for me, I got my opportunity with computers because I was the only one that wasn't afraid of them. So yeah, so that's what that would be my last little bit that I would add there. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we don't have any more questions right at this second, so I guess we can just wait another minute to see if we have any other questions that come in. Awesome. So we do have another question. Do you have any books that you guys would recommend to students who are interested in getting into computer science? Any recommended reading?
My mic's up, so I'll just answer quickly. Not necessarily computer science, but in the area of innovation, really the place to start is Innovator's Dilemma by Clayton Christensen, who unfortunately passed away earlier this year, but a Harvard professor. That is basically the starting text for understanding if you have an entrepreneurial spirit as a software developer, which is a great opportunity today as a single individual to be entrepreneurial. Reading that fairly short book will help you understand how to find opportunities. Yeah. Jay, Cristina?
From my experience, again, it's not particularly about the technology, but in any career that you choose dealing with people, it's going to be an important aspect of the job, and to be successful at your job and the relationship with other people. So I would recommend you to look into transactional analysis books, or look into books that help you understand people, like books about emotional intelligence. There are a lot of them, but it does help you understand yourself and understand other people and what motivates other people, and what can you do about it? How can you work with that, knowing that each individual it's a different world, and you have to find that common ground to work with them, and be able to build such teams that Don talks about, self-organizing team. That requires a lot of understanding of people to be able to create that foundation of trust, and that foundation of accountability, that these kind and ownership that these kind of teams live, breathe. So yeah, that will be my recommendation.
I was just over at my bookshelf trying to find the book that I would recommend, but I couldn't find it there. My recommended book for you all would be How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It was written in 1936, so it sounds like it would not apply, but it's a book that will give you some insight into human behavior, and kind of like Cristina said, it's about emotional intelligence, listening to people, and it's a very fast read, but you can take notes through it, and I recommend doing that for anybody that's starting a new job or an internship, or early on in the workforce, and to roll into the next question, which was any advice for newly graduated students who want to excel in their career but feel stuck in their current position. I think that book is a great one to help in that, because it'll help motivate you to make connections, to network with people. So those are a few of the things that I would recommend if you feel stuck. Now, that being said, I've dealt with a lot of students that are newly out of school that say, that they come in as a junior developer in our company, and they say, okay, in 6 months, my goal is to be a senior developer. Well, I like your enthusiasm, but you really have to put in the time, and you have to realize that there's structure involved here. So part of it is being patient. If you feel stuck in your current position, or if you're highly motivated to rise up the ladder, it does take time, and know that there are people in your company in front of you, or that have been there a long time, and while you have to play the political game and the bureaucracy, unfortunately, sometimes that's just the nature of the way things are. But I definitely recommend looking into graduate school like I did, to help get that leap ahead, because if you're comparing apples to apples, you're a new grad, you have a year of experience, all of a sudden now you have an MBA or you have a graduate degree in computer science. that's going to set you apart from those other people. Don and Cristina, if you have anything else to add there.
Yeah, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, it's you are going to feel stuck, not just now as a newly graduated. At least the way I experienced and the way I observed around me, you know, the career, the voyage in your career is going to look like a stairway, and you will start here, develop, but then you would get to a point where you will get stuck. And the way to get to the next level would be to reinvent yourself. Learn new skills, learn new technologies, and then you'll be able to go to the next level. And this is going to happen in your career several times. And it's a natural path to evolving, right? We will all want to grow, we all want to achieve much more things in our professional life. And for me, the secret was that every time that I got stuck, it meant that whatever I knew until now got me where I am now, but it's not going to get me to the next level. So I have to start learning new skills. I have to change myself, change the way I do things. The biggest example for me in my experience, when the step between being a manager and becoming a director, I was a manager, and as I shared with you, leadership in my mind was a somehow limited concept back then, where I thought that leadership meant telling people what to do. And this transformation to actually what leadership means, to inspire people to be their best version of themselves, this transformation required me to change how I see, what I do, what I feel about people, how I think about people. I had to learn about emotional intelligence. I had to learn about empathy. And that's what got me to the next level of now being the director of this amazing team that I have at Tesco, where each one of them is a leader. So that was the big step that I had to do, and I had to transform myself. What got me here could not get me to the next level.
Yeah, that's great. I would add, because I have done management of people since the mid 80s. So I have hired a bunch of people back when managers used to hire their own people. It's very interesting today. I'm not quite used to the recruiter thing, but yeah, I have hired my own people. I have helped people succeed. I have fired people. I have let people go because of layoffs. And so what I would say is that striving is always good. Striving for something better is always good, as long as you don't bring negative attitude to the team, okay? We all do things we don't want to do. And as a manager of people, I have had to ask my teams to do things that I didn't want them to do. I didn't want to have to ask them to do it, but it's not me. It wasn't my company. I had a job to do. I had to do that. I do it with as much kindness as I can, but it is guaranteed. You are going to do things you don't want to do. You're going to be unhappy. Do your best to learn what you need to learn in those moments. And for the sake of your team members, do your best to find the good, even in bad situations. It'll help you in the future. It'll help that next step. So striving, yes, it's good to strive. If you're not striving, check your pulse. But do your best to keep negativity out of the team. Okay.
All right. It looks like we just have one more question. I invite everybody else who has any other questions to put in their last questions right now. This is a question where it says, how do you prevent fatigue or burnout? What are good techniques to set boundaries while also staying actively involved with your work?
Well, since I've worked 45 years, I've probably experienced more burnout than either Cristina or Jay. Yeah, I have definitely been out of balance more than once in my career. It's probably going to happen. Okay, try your best not to. Don't kick the heck out of yourself when it does happen. All of us are doing things because we need to, because we have passion at it, and sometimes our companies are not great to work for, and they push too hard. But set boundaries. Communicate those boundaries in a positive way to your supervisors and managers. You know, so if they're saying, because I have I didn't have to manage this team, but the team that I had worked alongside of them, they work 7 days a week for, I don't know, months, probably six months or more. And yeah, that's just awful. And some of those people, if I could go back, I would have advised them to say, hey, you know, if you need me here 7 days a week, I can do that, but at like 5 hours a day or some kind of, you know, so try to work constructively with your manager. And then, you know, the typical, I'm sure like Cristina knows probably better than I do, just the support system, you know, but don't kick yourself. My wife likes to say, don't shit on yourself. I like that. Yeah, communications. I think Jay and Cristina both said that. So communicate to your manager, listen to your loved ones that see you extending yourself too much. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Christina or Jay, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would just say, as a last resort, you know, be open to new opportunities. Use LinkedIn, Indeed, websites to maybe find a company that values your skills and is willing to pay, you know, more for them, or values your time more. So finding that good work-life balance is crucial as you go through your career. So, you know, when you're young and early in your career, you might be grinding out more than you have to as you gain more seniority. So just remember that too, that a lot of the people that you're working for probably had to go through the same things that you are right now. So like Don said, communicating the way you're feeling to your manager. If you feel, I would consider fatigue and burnout as two separate items. So fatigue from having to work too much, and burnout might just be boredom. So if you're bored with what you're doing, seek out new projects. Ask your manager to take on different work, not just more work, but hopefully that will let them see that you're motivated, you're invested in the company, you would like more responsibility, and that also makes you stand out from other employees.
Yeah. In addition to what Don and Jay said, I used to be that negative manager. Yeah, it's part of the learning curve that I had. I used to be. I'm a workaholic, and I used to drive my team to work more than necessary, and now I learned that has a negative impact, and what I do now is hold myself, right? I own the fact that I have that tendency of working more, and I'm passionate about what I do, but I have to understand that people have lives, and be accountable of the results that I have if I burn the team out. However, what I can tell you, when I was in teams like this, I was not a manager, but I was a member of the team, and I had this situation. One of the techniques that I did back then, and it served me well over the years, is to learn how to be more effective and efficient with my time. Things like going to my manager and asking exactly what needs to be achieved, like clarity on the goal, so I don't have to work more than it's actually needed, or rework stuff because we didn't somehow, I fell short in delivering things. So that was one of the key things for me to be able to balance the work and hit the mark from the first time. The other technique that I could recommend you was again around the concept of managing well my time. Time boxing. So sometimes we have so many things at the same time we have to deal with, and we're pulled in so many directions. And time boxing, and for each time box, have a goal, have a purpose. Why are you going to sit? What are you going to get out of that time box? And work focused on getting that. It helped me to be able to do the work in the normal working hours, while other colleagues were staying late at work and taking work at home over the weekend. So it served me very well, these two techniques.
Awesome. Well, it looks like that's our last question. So I guess this is the end of the talk. I wanted to thank all of our attendees for coming and giving us such amazing questions. But most of all, I want to thank our panelists who are absolutely amazing, and we were so happy we could have you here. This was our first panel discussion talk, and it went awesome, and I'm so happy about that. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
Of course.
Thank you. Bye-bye.